That's not strength. I don't, it's amazing how many people see this as strength, as if you can force somebody else to change, especially by bullying, especially by rioting, burning stuff down. Man, that's toddler shit. That's a tantrum. How is that strength? Why are you proud? You got what you wanted by what? Hurting people? Burning down businesses? Stealing? That's how you get stuff done? That's what makes you feel good? All right, so I've learned that we are all supposed to be able to be stable, to be happy, to be basically unbothered, regardless of the conditions going on around us. To so many people, that sounds so impossible. And that's basically because that's how we're raised to think that everything around us is supposed to affect how we feel inside, right? That if everything is going wrong, then you have a right to be mad, or you have a right to be upset. You have a right to be frustrated because look at everything that's going on. I have come to learn that that is just one of the biggest weaknesses, if not the biggest weakness, because it's at the core of just so many issues. The problem with it is when you're trying to change everything around you, there's too many things that you can't control. So as long as you need everything to be right in order for you to feel right, then you'll probably never feel right. That shows up in so many things that's going on. And I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but that shows up in so many things that's going on. People are so concerned about what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is saying, what's going on over across the other side of the world, across the other side of the country. Just everything else that's going on. Everybody's focused on someone else or something else, and nobody's looking at what they can do. If more people would focus on themselves, a lot of these problems, it wouldn't be as big as it is now. Another problem is that those external things start to control you. So it's not enough that you can't control those things, but now they control you. Because if things are going good, fine. And that's easy. When things are going good, it's easy to feel good. Everything is going right. Everything is in its place. All the bills are paid. Nothing's going wrong. Everybody's acting right. Everybody's being nice to you. What is there to be mad at? But as soon as that stuff, anything starts going off track, now you react to that and it throws you off. And that means something outside of you has controlled you now. Something that you can't control goes wrong, and all of a sudden you're all messed up on the inside. That's a problem. And people don't recognize that that's a problem. A lot of people don't even know to look at that. That, okay, you watch something on TV, you heard what somebody said, you read a comment somewhere, and the first thing you do is get all stirred up on the inside of you. You're hot now, you're mad. What is that doing to you when something outside of you can literally change your inner being? Like you can go from being happy to being completely pissed off based on something that you couldn't even control. One problem is that you're paying attention to it in the first place. We should be very careful about what we're digesting anyway. And that could be food wise, and I do mean that food wise, but also what are you watching? What are you listening to? You're paying attention to stuff you probably saw a lot of people look for stuff to make them mad. It's weird. But that's what's going on. And people don't even think to look at the fact that something outside of them is controlling the inside of them. Another problem with that is that you never get to the end of it. There's always going to be something else to change. Just imagine that the idea that we can get to a perfect world. So if you can't be happy until everything is right, everything is in its place, you will never be happy. That's why it's important to get control of that now. That's why there's so much focus on the fact that peace comes from inside of you, because there's no way in heck you're going to get it from the outside. There's no way in heck that you'd straighten everything up to the point where there's nothing to worry about anymore. And so now you could just be completely happy. So what are the effects of being controlled by your conditions, or being a slave to conditions? One thing is it makes you extremely weak mentally, spiritually. If you're dependent on everything being right in order for you to be right, that strips all your power away, right? It takes nothing to even do that. All you have to do is look around you and decide how you feel about it and react that way. So if one day things are going wrong, you just get to be upset that day. And this is not a message about never be upset, never feel your feelings or anything like that. It's just that when they control you to the point where now you're making terrible decisions, now you're reacting and fighting with people and it's messing up your life, that you're reacting to conditions on the outside of you that you can't even control, that's when it's a problem. That's when it becomes a weakness. Because now you're not even control. You're not even in control of yourself, and the things outside of you are controlling you. That makes you weak. I'm not calling you weak. I'm saying that's a weakness, right? To be controlled by something else, especially when somebody can move your emotions just by saying something, just by doing something, just by pushing, by knowing your buttons and pushing them. That doesn't make them strong, and that doesn't make you strong. That's a weakness. If somebody can push your buttons and set you off, that's not a sign of strength. That's just a fact. And that's not trash talk. That's not an insult. That's just a fact. You shouldn't be able, or somebody else shouldn't be able to know how to control you, right? It doesn't make them better. It doesn't make you, but it doesn't help you out either. Another problem with it is that it tends to make the problem even bigger. So imagine this: if somebody's trying to pick a fight with you, not like a fist fight, but if somebody's trying to argue with you and you're just not going there with them, how much can they really argue, right? What can they really do? They could probably get their stuff out. But like, if you're not returning, just imagine this: if they're saying whatever they have to say and you're just kind of letting it all flow, eventually they run out. They've exhausted themselves. They've exhausted everything they have to say, and there's nothing else to say. And then they look stupid if they try to keep it going, right? But imagine if they start going and then you return. Oh, now it gets, you know what I mean? Now it's going. It just gets more and more intense. They're mad and they make you mad. And now you guys, they go and then you go, and then it's just like one-upping. You see the difference with responding to something like that is that if you don't, it just dies out. And so many people, I understand it seems like that's not realistic. Like, you have to pay attention to what's going on so you can attack it and get rid of it. But I have been learning how true it is that it's not your job to jump on everything and wrestle it to the ground and get rid of it. That tends to make the problem bigger. When you give it attention, it makes it bigger. This is not a put your head in the sand, ignore everything and everything will go away type of thing. Because I don't know if I can go that far to say that I really believe that's true. But I do believe that the more you pay attention to or try to change things, especially things that you can't change, that only makes things worse. It's a lot better to focus on what you can do with you. And then once you're all set, then you can, like, automatically things start to change around you when you're all set. When you're all squared away on the inside, everything around you starts to change. But everybody's doing the opposite right now. They're trying to change everything else in order to be right in here. That's backwards. Another problem with this is that it's going to stress you out. It's exhausting as hell. Like, what if you're doing, that's like an endless task, right? You're trying to change everything around you, but everything around you is changing. For one, you can't control everything around you. And as long as you're trying to do that, there's always more to do. Where does it end? When do you rest? You know what I mean? That never-ending battle is why so many people are stressed out and exhausted and just don't know what the heck to do, right? Because they're trying to take care of stuff that's not even their job to do. Imagine a world where everybody focused on fixing themselves first and then allow their completeness to leak out and fix problems around them. That really sounds like the way to go with this, but everything is backwards right now. And I've already said it. Everything is so backwards that nobody's looking at fixing themselves first. Everybody's looking at fixing everybody else first. That's the biggest issue. That's what needs to change first. So why does any of this even matter? What I think is we have to consider where we're trying to go. All right. And different people have different ideas for where they want the world, what kind of world they want to live in. Everybody is not going to agree on everything. So we just need to accept that. And that needs to be okay. That's a big point. That needs to be okay. Right? There are different people. If everybody was the same, what would be the point of life? Period. So everybody's not going to agree. But what are we trying to do here? If there's a certain quality of life or a certain type of world that we want to live in, we have to consider our actions right now taking us to that place. A lot of people are talking about how much division there is in the country right now, right? Here's the way I'm seeing it though. If you're one of these people who are trying to change someone else, and right now there's like a whole group of people trying to change a whole nother group of people and not doing it the right way, in my opinion. If you push and poke and punch and abuse people enough, it's going to backfire. Nobody's just going to take it forever, right? You have to consider that. What's going to happen when they get fed up with this? Where is this taking us? That can go with the racial tension that's going on right now, with black people trying to make white people feel like shit. And that's also it leaks over into the situation with police. Like, how long do you expect them to continue taking abuse? How long do you expect them to continue taking what are we expecting? What do we think is going to happen? Like, just go down the road a little bit and then go down the road a lot. What does it look like? People are not going to take this stuff forever. And what I just thought is the idea that, well, black people are tired of it. So black people wouldn't take it forever. And so now black people are, how long is it going to go back and forth? How long is it going to swing from these people are privileged to now it's equal somehow, and now it's going too far, and now these people are privileged and now they get tired of it, and now it's going back to somewhere equal, and then these people, like, how long is that going to be an issue? I don't think it'll ever be perfect, but I just think people need to realize what the current actions are just not the way to be doing this stuff. There are some people talking about this stuff, but a lot of people, it's like, who's paying attention? And I think that's at the root cause of it is everybody wants to change somebody else. Everybody's mad at somebody else. So it's like, you need to be different. You need to change. You need to stop doing what you're doing. In fact, you need to feel guilty about ever being born. That's what's crazy to me. But you need to feel guilty. You need to apologize. You need to change. You need to fix yourself so that I can be happy with you, so that I can be happy with me. Holy, wow. That's not strength. It's amazing how many people see this as strength, as if you can force somebody else to change, especially by bullying, especially by rioting, burning stuff down. Man, that's toddler shit. That's a tantrum. How is that strength? Why are you proud? How could you be proud of that? You got what you wanted by what? Hurting people? Burning down businesses? Stealing? That's how you get stuff done? That's what makes you feel good? Look, man, what I'm trying to address is that it already doesn't look good. And I don't mean to say that as like because I don't think it's that bad. I think it's pretty bad, and I think it's not going anywhere good. But I don't see it as like, oh God, the world is just terrible. That's not my feeling about it. I think this is opportunity. One, for me to get a message out, but two, for people to grow up, right? Like there's somewhere to go. If I don't think we're at rock bottom, but the good thing about rock bottom is that there's nowhere else to go but up. That's cliche, but it's so true. So I don't think it's that bad. At least there's somewhere to go. At least there's something to improve. At least there's something to do, which is what life is, which is I there's always going to be something to do as long as we're on this world, as long as we're on this planet or in this world. But the problem with needing everyone else to change is that you can't control that. You can't control them. You can't control things. And there are too many things that you can't change. Even if as hard as you try, you'll exhaust yourself trying. Imagine it's just the kind of thing where you spend all your energy, like just the hard, you pick the toughest task. You try to do something about it. And by the end, you're exhausted and it's just still standing there, full strength. You didn't even make a dent. You exhaust all your energy trying to make a dent in something that's just standing there looking at you like that's all you got. That's kind of how this is. It's like trying to change everything around you will exhaust you of all of your energy, and then it'll still be standing there actually getting bigger. That's crazy. It's crazy to put your energy on something like that. Here's what I think the ultimate goal is. Focus on yourself. Get yourself to the point where, and there's always going to be more growth. There's always going to be more to do. So you never really get there. You know what I'm saying? But focus on yourself to the point where your life starts pouring out and fixing the things around you. It really doesn't take finding things and tackling them. It takes you taking care of yourself to the point now automatically people around you start changing. Things around you start changing because your life has everything to do with what's in here pouring out, right? If you're taking care of everything, then you can take care of other things and other people. But if everything is not right, starting right here, there's nothing you can do about anything else except make things worse. Only a complete person only a full cup can share. You know what I mean? Only somebody who has enough to give can give. There's a quote I want to read from my favorite book right now. And I'm going to have to read it because it's too long of a quote. But I have to just quote the whole thing because it's so good. It's from author Neil Donald Walsh, and it's from the book The Complete Conversations with God. This is from book 1. This is the quote. It says, events, occurrences, happenings, conditions, circumstances, all are created out of consciousness. Individual consciousness is powerful enough. You can imagine what kind of creative energy is unleashed whenever two or more are gathered in my name. That's God speaking. And a mass consciousness, why that's so powerful, it can create events and circumstances of worldwide import and planetary consequences. You can't tell me that's not true. You can't tell me that when all it takes is for it to start somewhere, for somebody to think a certain type of thought and then get somebody else to think it. Then you get a whole group of people to think it, right? Media does a good job of that. Media does a real good job of getting you to think what they want you to think. But I'm not even going to go deep into that. But that's what mass consciousness is. Once enough people think a certain way, now it's got this huge impact. The problem with that is if it's something good, it can make a huge positive impact. But if a mass conscious starts to think something that's detrimental, a mass conscious starts to think of something that's destructive, it's going to go that way. So we have to be careful, for one thing, on an individual level. What are you thinking about, right? What are you paying attention to? What are you digesting? Because that makes a huge difference, first of all. What are you being affected by? Who are you listening to, right? All those things are incredibly important because it's where it starts on an individual level. Then when you start connecting to people and you guys start sharing like minds, depending if you're sharing positive or what's considered positive, that can be a really good thing. But if you're thinking of something that's going to tear you up or tear us up or tear the world up, and that grows, the thing about energy is, doesn't care which direction it's going. It doesn't care at all. It's just gonna go. It's just gonna do it. So if you're focusing on positive or you're focusing on negative, it's gonna go. That's what life is. It doesn't care. And you can look around and see how true that is. You might not like how I'm laying it out right now because it might not sound religious enough for you, or it's not pointing to how your ideas are around the topic, but that's the truth. Why is everything the way it is? The world doesn't, life doesn't care which way you take it. It's gonna freaking go, and you're gonna go with it. The thing about it is that a lot of people don't understand that we're the creators of that. Too many people think that everything is happening to them. They don't understand that they're making these things happen. And if people could grasp that, if you're the one that's doing this, we're the ones that's doing this. Nobody's doing this to us. If people could grasp that idea, that would solve a lot of the problems that's going on. People will focus on fixing themselves, which would automatically fix a lot of the other stuff. I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm gonna just say it one more time. The major goal, the biggest goal for me, and my biggest message is that if everybody would focus on fixing themselves first, a lot of this other stuff would be automatic. Sure, there would be other things to do. Sure, there would be other things to work on and fix and all of that stuff. Fine. But if everybody would focus on fixing themselves first, everything else would be so much easier. So start there. Thank you for watching my video. Of course, every time that I make a video is to get you to do these things. Seek for yourself, think for yourself, rediscover your source.